The nightmare always started the same way. Concrete walls closing and fluorescent lights buzzing like dying flies, the metallic taste of blood in the air. Nathan Walker jolted awake at 3 in the morning, sheets soaked heart hammering against ribs that had been cracked twice in Pelican Bay and never healed quite right. The bedroom of his studio apartment in East Oakland was dark except for the amber glow from the street lamp outside, casting prison bar shadows across the floor. He sat up, pressing palms against his eyes until stars bloomed. 27 years since that riot. 27 years since he'd held Tommy Reaper Collins, while his best friend bled out on the yard, shivved 3 times by Aryan Brotherhood soldiers who'd been hunting information. Tommy had kept his mouth shut about the witness list. Died protecting 32 brothers whose names were on an FBI informant sheet. Nathan had screamed for the guards, pressed his hands against the wounds, watched the light drain from eyes that had been bright with laughter just an hour before during their morning workout. The scar on Nathan's forearm itched. Phantom pain from the shiv that had been meant for his throat, the one Tommy had taken instead. He'd gotten the Reaper tattoo 2 weeks after his release in 2001. Death's scythe wrapped around Tommy's name and dates. The ink had faded, but the debt never would. Nathan stood joints protesting, 56 years old, body held together with scar tissue spite and the heart medication sitting on his bathroom counter next to an unopened bottle of whiskey. 15 years sober. The whiskey was a test he gave himself every morning. Look at it, remember what it cost, choose something else. He dressed in the dark, jeans, black t-shirt, the leather vest hanging by the door. The Death's Head patch on the back, the California rocker, the Oakland bottom rocker. 23 years wearing these colors. 23 years trying to make Tommy's sacrifice mean something beyond a prison yard covered in blood. The Harley Davidson sat in the building's underground garage, chrome gleaming under the security lights. A 29 Street Bob blacked out except for the chrome exhaust. Nathan had built the engine himself at Prophet Carlos's shop, every bolt torqued to exact specifications, every wire run clean. The bike was the one thing in his life that made perfect sense. Fuel goes in combustion, happens, power comes out. No moral complexity, no gray areas. He fired it up, letting it warm. The rumble filled the garage, a sound that had become more familiar than his own heartbeat. Tuesday morning, 8:15. He was late for the weekly breakfast run with the brothers, a tradition Ironside had started 5 years back to keep everyone connected outside of club business. Pancakes at Millie's Diner on International Boulevard. Bad coffee, worse jokes, and the kind of silence between men who'd been through enough that words became optional. Nathan rolled out onto 96th Avenue, threading through morning traffic. The flatlands of Oakland spread out around him, a grid of houses that had seen better decades, corner stores, with bars on the windows, churches that doubled as community centers. This was his territory, not claimed through violence like the old days, but earned through showing up. The club ran toy drives at Christmas, helped single mothers change their oil, showed up at funerals for kids who'd been shot in crossfire. Small things, quiet things, the kind of redemption that didn't make headlines. The light at 73rd Avenue and East 14th Street caught him. Nathan pulled up next to a gray Chevy Impala, maybe 2003 primer, gray rust eating the wheel wells. Expired tags, the kind of car you drove when you were trying not to be noticed. He glanced over out of habit. Years in prison taught you to be aware of your surroundings, to catalog threats before they materialized. The driver was white 30s, unshaven, the hollow-eyed look of a tweaker coming down hard. Hands gripping the steering wheel too tight. Jaw working on gum, or maybe meth mouth, the constant grinding Nathan had seen 1,000 times. But it was the back seat that made his blood freeze. A child, 6, maybe 7 years old, Hispanic girl, dark hair, wearing what looked like a school uniform, or maybe just a regular dress. Pink shoes with Velcro straps. She was pressed against the rear passenger window, small hands flat against the glass. And in those hands, visible for maybe 3 seconds, was a piece of notebook paper with words written in crayon. Help me. I'm Lily. He took me. Call 911. A heart drawn at the bottom in red crayon. Their eyes met. Brown eyes huge in a small face, tracks of dried tears on her cheeks. Terror and desperate hope warring in an expression no child should ever have to wear. Nathan felt something crack open in his chest, old scars tearing fresh. He saw Sarah, his daughter at 6 years old, gap-toothed, smile, pink dress, with butterflies running across the playground at Prescott Elementary while Nathan watched from his truck on supervised visitation. The year after his release, when she'd been afraid of him, this stranger with tattoos and a prison record who claimed to be her father. The year it had taken to rebuild trust, 1 hour at a time. The girl in the Impala was pressing the note harder against the window, lips moving. Please, that's what she was saying. Please see me. Please help me. Please don't look away like everyone else. Nathan's jaw tightened. He gave the smallest nod. A promise without words, the only kind that mattered. The light turned green. The Impala's driver didn't look at Nathan, just punched the accelerator, and the car lurched forward with a wheeze of dying transmission. Nathan watched it go, burning the license plate into his memory. 7ATK9, California plates, heading west on 73rd toward the industrial district. His hand was already pulling out his phone. 911 on speed dial, a habit from the old days when you needed law enforcement fast and couldn't wait for operators to connect you. A woman's voice, professional, detached dispatch. What's your emergency? Nathan kept his voice level, the same tone he'd used talking down violent drunks in the clubhouse parking lot. This is Nathan Walker. I'm at 73rd and East 14th in Oakland. Gray Chevy Impala, California plate, 7 Alpha Tango Kilo 9, heading west on 73rd. Male driver, 30s, white. Child in the back seat, female 6 or 7, Hispanic. She's holding a sign that says, "Help me, I'm Lily. He took me. Call 911." The dispatcher's voice sharpened. "Sir, can you follow the vehicle? I'm on a motorcycle. I can try, but you need units rolling now. This is a kidnapping in progress." "Sir, we need to verify." Nathan's control slipped. "There's nothing to verify. I saw the goddamn note. A child is asking for help. Get units to 73rd Avenue between here and the Bay. Check the industrial park's abandoned buildings. Move." He hung up before she could ask for more information, before she could tell him to stay on the line, before the bureaucracy could slow down what needed to happen immediately. Nathan twisted the throttle and the Harley surged forward, weaving through traffic, but the Impala had already disappeared into the maze of Oakland's warehouse district. He cruised 73rd for 10 minutes, checking side streets, parking lots, anywhere a car could hide. Nothing. The Impala had vanished like it had never existed, taking a little girl named Lily with it. Nathan pulled over at a 7-Eleven, cut the engine, and made another call. Ironside answered on the second ring. His voice was gravel, decades of cigarettes and hard living. "Ghost, you're late. Wrench ate your pancakes. I need to call a meeting. Now, you sound like someone died." Nathan stared at his hands, seeing them covered in Tommy's blood again. "Worse, I saw a kidnapped kid. OPD's going to slow walk it. We need to move." Silence on the other end. "Then get to the clubhouse. I'll make calls." The line went dead. Nathan sat there for 30 seconds, letting the adrenaline bleed off enough that he could ride without doing something stupid. The morning traffic flowed around him, people going to work, dropping kids at school, living normal lives where the worst thing that might happen was getting stuck in traffic or running out of coffee. None of them had seen what he'd seen. None of them were carrying the weight of brown eyes and a small face the shape of the word please on silent lips. The clubhouse on Foothill Boulevard was a squat concrete building that had started life as a tire shop in the 60s. The Hells Angels Oakland chapter had bought it in 1978, reinforced the walls, added security cameras, and turned it into a fortress that had survived 2 gang wars, 3 police raids, and the gentrification that was slowly eating the rest of East Oakland. Nathan pulled into the lot at 9:30. A dozen bikes were already there. Word had spread fast the way it always did when Ironside made calls. Brotherhood wasn't just a word stitched on patches. It was a network built over decades, relationships forged in prison yards and hospital rooms, the kind of bonds that didn't break when things got hard. The main room smelled like it always did. Motor oil, cigarette smoke, old leather, and the ghost of 1,000 beers. Photos covered the walls. Sonny Barger in the 70s, the founder of the Oakland chapter, grinning next to his chopper. Memorial photos of fallen brothers, black ribbons, and dates that marked the cost of the life. Group shots from Run's charity events, funerals. And in the center of the wall, added 5 years ago, a photo of Tommy Collins. Young, maybe 25, leaning against his bike with that cocky smile that had gotten him in trouble more times than Nathan could count. The plaque underneath read Thomas Reaper, Collins, 1973 to 1998. He kept the faith. Ironside sat at the head of the long table, a cigarette burning in the ashtray beside him. Thomas Murphy had been president of the Oakland chapter for 18 years, survived 12 years in Folsom, and buried more friends than most men made in a lifetime. 62 years old gray threaded through his beard, deep lines carved into his face like erosion on ancient stone. His eyes were blue ice, the kind of cold that came from seeing too much and feeling too little. Prophet Carlos was there, the vice president. Carlos Delgado, 48, built like a tank, tattoos covering arms, thick with muscle, earned in Marine Corps PT, and maintained through manual labor at his auto shop. He'd done 2 tours in Desert Storm, came back with a Purple Heart and PTSD that manifested as rage when triggered. His daughter, Elena, had been 9 years old when a drunk driver took her life 12 years ago. Carlos had nearly beaten the man to death in the courthouse before bailiffs pulled him off. The club had been his salvation, the only thing that kept him from eating his service pistol. Wrench sat next to Carlos, coffee mug in hand. Michael Patterson, 53, road captain, skinny as a rail, despite eating like a teenager, fingers always stained with grease from the shop he ran with his cousin. Former getaway driver for a crew that robbed banks in the 90s before he'd gotten smart and quit while he still had freedom. He'd learned to work on bikes in county lockup, turned it into a legitimate business, became the guy everyone called when their ride made a noise it shouldn't. And at the far end of the table, Vincent Bones Russo, 63 years old, 40 years wearing the patch, the longest-serving member in the room. Vietnam veteran, 2 tours in country, the kind of man who didn't talk about what he'd seen because talking didn't help. Bones was the sergeant-at-arms responsible for security discipline, enforcing the club's rules. He was also the voice of caution, the one who'd seen enough disasters to know when the club was about to step in something that couldn't be scraped off. Nathan stood at the opposite end of the table from Ironside, feeling the weight of their attention. This was how it worked. You called a meeting, you stated your case, the brothers decided. Democracy built on leather and chrome. He pulled out his phone, set it on the table. 8:45 this morning. Red light at 73rd and East 14th. Gray Impala pulls up next to me. I look over, there's a kid in the back seat. 6 years old, maybe 7. Hispanic girl, pink shoes. She's got a piece of paper pressed against the window. Nathan paused, the image burned into his retinas. The note said, "Help me, I'm Lily. He took me, call 911. Drew a heart at the bottom. She was begging me to see her. Carlos's hands clenched into fists on the table. Where's the car gone? Lost it in the warehouse district. I called OPD, gave them the plate, the location, everything. Dispatcher said they'd send units. That was 45 minutes ago." Ironside lit a new cigarette from the dying ember of the old one, and Nathan met his eyes. "And I know how this goes, Tom. Budget cuts, understaffed, 2 detectives for 300 active cases. This kid's from the flatlands, probably undocumented family. She's not a priority. By the time they get around to actually looking, she could be in Nevada or dead in a drainage ditch." Bones spoke for the first time, his voice quiet. "What are you asking for, Ghost?" "I'm asking us to find her. Use the network. We've got brothers at every truck stop, every repair shop, every place a car passes through in the East Bay. Someone's seen that Impala. Someone knows where it went." Bones leaned back, arms crossed. "And when we find it, what then? We're not cops. We're not vigilantes. We're a motorcycle club trying to stay out of federal prison. Then we call OPD and tell them exactly where to look." Nathan's voice hardened. "But we don't wait for them to get their shit together while a kid suffers." Wrench tapped the table. "Ghost right. We've got eyes everywhere. 30 brothers working legit jobs all over Oakland. Mechanics, truckers, warehouse guys. We can canvass faster than any police department." Carlos stood up, pacing. "My Elena was 9 when that drunk bastard hit her. I was at work. Couldn't save her. Couldn't do shit except show up at the morgue and identify her body." His voice broke. "If I can stop another father from going through that, from another mother burying her child, then I'm in. Whatever it takes." Ironside studied the ember of his cigarette. The room fell silent except for the hum of the vending machine in the corner and the distant sound of traffic on Foothill Boulevard. Nathan waited. This was Ironside's call. He'd seen the president make decisions that saved the club and decisions that almost destroyed it. He'd watched Ironside bury his own son Marcus dead, and at 23 from an overdose, the same son Ironside had rescued from a gang kidnapping when the boy was 8. The rescue had cost Ironside 6 years in prison and cost Marcus his childhood growing up, while his father did time. The boy had hated him for it, chosen drugs over family, died alone in a tenderloin flophouse. Ironside's voice was quiet when he finally spoke. 27 years ago, my boy was taken. I rode with 50 brothers, we got him back. 3 men died. I did 6 years for manslaughter. Marcus grew up visiting me behind glass. And you know what? He OD'd hating me. He stubbed out the cigarette with deliberate pressure. So when Ghost asked me to do this again, to risk the club for one child, every instinct I have says no. Says we survive by being smart, by picking battles we can win, by staying under the radar. Nathan felt his chest tighten. This was the refusal, the moment when pragmatism won over principle. But Ironside stood up, walked to Tommy's photo, touched the frame. Reaper died so this club could stand for something. He took 3 shanks meant for Ghost. Died keeping his mouth shut about brothers the FBI wanted. He believed we were more than criminals in leather. Ironside turned to face the room. So here's how this works. We find this girl. We do it clean, no violence unless forced. We cooperate with OPD. We don't replace them. And Ghost, this is your ride. You lead. You take the fall if it goes south. You willing to go back inside for this? Nathan didn't hesitate. Yes. Carlos Ironside looked at the VP. Carlos's jaw was set. I'm in. Wrench nodded. Someone's got to keep you crazy bastards out of trouble. Bones was silent for a long moment, then sighed. I vote no. Not because I don't care about the kid, but because I know how this ends. Federal investigation, RICO charges the end of this chapter. He looked at Nathan. But I know you're going anyway, so I'm in. Someone's got to watch your back when it all falls apart. Ironside pulled out his phone. Then we make the calls. Ghost. You're talking to the other presidents, man to man. This is your respect on the line, not the club's. Nathan understood. In the hierarchy of biker culture, respect was currency earned through actions and spent carefully. He'd been a member for 23 years, done his time, kept his mouth shut, shown up when brothers needed help. He had credit in the bank. Calling it in for a stranger's child would either cement his reputation or destroy it. He took out his phone, scrolled to the first number. Sacramento chapter president Jake Morrison, hammer to his friends, a 58-year-old man who'd done 10 years at San Quentin for a bank robbery he'd committed at 23. He answered on the 3rd ring. Ghost, haven't heard from you in 6 months. Someone dead. Nathan's throat was tight. Need your help, Hammer. Not for me, for a kid. He explained it. The red light, the note, the desperate eyes, the slow response from Oakland PD. Hammer listened without interrupting, the way old convicts did when information was being shared. How many you need? As many as will come. Silence on the other end. Then you calling in your respect, Ghost, because you know what that means. You spend it, you start over. I know. Hammer exhaled. I was in the yard with you during the '98 riot. Watched Reaper take that shiv for you. Watched you carry his body to the medics even though it was too late. You didn't have to do that. Could have left him there, saved yourselves from being identified as involved. But you stayed. That bought you respect in my book. Another pause. I'll bring 220 bikes, 90 minutes to Oakland. But Ghost, you better be right about this. Because if we roll up that deep for nothing, if this turns out to be some custody dispute, or misunderstanding, every chapter in California will know you wasted our time. I'm right, Nathan said. I saw her eyes. She's begging for help. Then you'll have it. Hammer hung up. Next call, San Jose. Chapter President Luis Diablo Vargas. 61 years old, scarred from fights. Nathan didn't ask about a man who'd fought next to Nathan during that same Pelican Bay riot. Diablo had been cornered by 3 Aryan Brotherhood soldiers. Nathan had pulled one off, taken a beating that left him in the infirmary for 2 weeks. Diablo answered, Ghost. To what do I owe? Nathan told the story again, felt the words becoming a mantra. Help me, I'm Lily. He took me. Diablo's voice went quiet. I have granddaughters, 3 of them. I see them in pink shoes and butterfly dresses, and I think about what I'd do if someone took them, what I'd be capable of. He didn't wait for Nathan to ask. 340 bikes. We're coming. The calls continued. Stockton, Vallejo, Richmond, Berkeley. Each president listened, calculated the cost, remembered debts owed or respect earned. Some asked hard questions. Some agreed immediately. All of them understood what Nathan was asking. Drop everything, ride to Oakland, risk arrest or worse for a child none of them had ever met. By noon, the count was in. 2,400 bikes committed. From Modesto, Fresno, Merced in the Central Valley. From Santa Cruz and Monterey on the coast. From every chapter in the Bay Area and beyond. An army of men who wore the same patch and lived by the same code. When a brother calls you, answer. Ironside hung up his phone, looked at the numbers scrawled on the whiteboard. 2,400. Jesus Christ. He rubbed his face. Last time we had this many brothers in one place was Altamont in '69. That ended with 4 people dead and the club's reputation in the toilet. This ends with a kid going home, Carlos said. Or all of us going to prison, Bones countered. FBI's been watching this chapter for 6 months. Wiretap surveillance. They're building a RICO case. We mobilize this many bodies, we give them exactly what they want. Evidence of organized criminal activity. Ironside lit another cigarette. Then we better make sure it's worth it. Nathan was already moving. I need tech support. Traffic cameras, DMV records, anything that tracks that Impala. Wrench stood. I've got a guy. Former hacker, does IT security, now owes me a favor. He can access city camera feeds, run the partial plate through DMV databases. If that car's registered in California, we'll find it. Carlos grabbed his leather jacket. I'm going to the mother. If this is a kidnapping, there's a family somewhere losing their minds. They need to know someone's looking. How do you find them? Bones asked. Nathan pulled up his phone. OPD would have taken a missing persons report. I'll call my contact at the department, get a name and address. His contact was Detective Sarah Brennan, a 15-year veteran who'd worked with the club on a few cases where information from the street proved more valuable than official channels. He dialed, got voicemail. Sarah, it's Nathan Walker. I witnessed a possible kidnapping this morning. Gray Impala plate 7ATK9 child in back seat with a note. I called it in to dispatch, but I'm not hearing any Amber Alert. Can you check on this? I need to know if there's a missing persons report, family contact info. Call me back. The clubhouse door opened and 3 more brothers walked in. Jackie O'Brien, Angel Torres, and Marcus Lee, local Oakland members who'd gotten word from Ironside's text. They looked at the whiteboard, at the numbers, at the faces around the table. Jackie spoke first. What do you need? Nathan felt something shift in his chest. This was why he'd stayed. Not for the parties or the reputation or the freedom of the road. For this moment when men who owed him nothing showed up because he'd asked. We need to canvass the industrial district. Warehouses, auto shops, abandoned buildings. Gray Impala partial plate 7AT9. Driver's white male 30s, tweaker look. Child in the back seat. Hispanic female 6 or 7 pink shoes. Her name's Lily. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'll hit up my cousin. He runs a tow truck company, knows every body shop and chop shop in the East Bay. If someone's hiding a car, he'll hear about it. Angel nodded. I'll check the motels along the 880 corridor. Places that rent by the hour, don't ask questions. Perfect spot to hole up. The operation was forming organically, each brother finding their role without being told. This was the other side of the club that mainstream society never saw. Not the violence or the drugs or the criminal enterprise. The organizational capacity, the network of skills and contacts, the ability to mobilize resources faster than any government agency. Nathan's phone buzzed. Text from Wrench's contact, the hacker. Got DMV hit. Gray 2003 Chevy Impala plate, 7ATK947, registered to Derek Kane, 34, address in San Leandro. 2 priors, domestic violence possession. Works at Morrison Auto Parts, or did 6 months ago before termination for showing up drunk. Nathan read it aloud. Morrison Auto Parts. That's the old warehouse on 73rd near Elmhurst. Been abandoned for 5 years. Wrench was already pulling up Google Maps on the clubhouse computer. Morrison's is right where you lost visual on the Impala. He's probably holed up there. Got keys from when he worked there. Carlos slammed his fist on the table. Then what are we waiting for? Bones held up a hand. We're waiting for confirmation. For all we know, Kane's at home in San Leandro. The kid's fine, and we're about to kick down the wrong door. Nathan's phone rang. Detective Brennan, he answered. Sarah, her voice was tight. Got your message. There is a missing persons report. Lily Chen, 6 years old, reported missing Sunday evening by her mother, Maria Chen. Last seen at Prescott Elementary Playground. Primary suspect is Derek Kane, the stepfather. Restraining order was filed 2 weeks ago. Kane has a history of DV. Brennan paused. OPD's been working this for 72 hours, Nathan. We've got 2 detectives on it, limited resources. An Amber Alert was submitted, but it's still pending verification. 72 hours, Nathan said. That kid's been missing 3 days, and you're still verifying budget cuts. Understaffing, we're doing what we can. It's not enough. Where does Maria Chen live? Nathan, don't do anything stupid. Where does she live? Brennan sighed. 96th Avenue near the Coliseum BART station. Apartment 2B. But if you interfere with this investigation, I'm assisting, not interfering. Nathan hung up. He looked at the room. Lily Chen. Mother's Maria Chen lives on 96th. Kane's the stepfather has a restraining order DV history. This isn't a custody dispute. This is an abduction. Ironside stood. Carlos Wrench, you go talk to Maria Chen. Find out everything about Derek Kane. Where he'd go, who he'd contact, what he's capable of. Ghost Bones, you two take a recon of Morrison Auto Parts. Eyes only, no approach. If Kane's there, we call in the cavalry. Nathan nodded, already moving toward the door. Bones caught his arm. Ghost, you're operating on emotion right now. That makes you dangerous. We do this smart, or we don't do it at all. Nathan met his eyes. I saw Tommy die because I wasn't fast enough to stop it. I'm not watching another person suffer when I can do something about it. Bones held his gaze for a long moment, then released him. Then let's make sure we do it right. They rode out in pairs, Carlos and Wrench heading east toward 96th Avenue, Nathan and Bones southwest toward the industrial district. The sky was overcast, typical Oakland morning fog burning off to reveal gray clouds that threatened rain, but never delivered. Nathan's mind was calculating. 72 hours since Lily was taken. 3 days of terror for a 6-year-old child. 3 days of a mother going out of her mind with fear. 3 days while Oakland PD filed paperwork and requested verification and followed procedures that prioritized bureaucracy over life. The Morrison Auto Parts warehouse came into view at 1:15. Single-story corrugated metal, 30,000 square feet chain link fence with sagging sections, weeds growing through cracked asphalt. A faded sign above the bay doors, Morrison Auto Parts Est, 1987. The optimism of that date was tragic in its naivety. Nathan cruised past, slowly, eyes scanning. No movement visible. Loading bay door closed but not locked, chain hanging loose. And parked near the north corner, partially hidden behind a dumpster, a gray Chevy Impala. Bones pulled up beside him 2 blocks away. That's the car. Nathan killed his engine, pulled out binoculars. The Impala's hood was still warm, heat shimmer visible in the cold air. Recent arrival last hour or so, someone's inside, Bones said quietly. Question is, do we call OPD now or wait for backup? Nathan thought about Lily pressed against that window, brown eyes begging for help. How long would OPD take to assemble a response team? An hour, 2. How long would Kane wait before panicking and running again? We wait, Nathan decided. Maintain visual call in the brothers. When we have numbers, we call OPD and create a situation they can't ignore. Bones nodded slowly. You're betting everything on this. Your freedom, the club's reputation, 2,400 brothers' respect. You sure she's in there? Nathan thought about the note. Help me. I'm Lily. He took me. Thought about the heart drawn at the bottom, the way only a child still believed in the power of love to save them. I'm sure. They set up watch from a rooftop across the street, an abandoned office building with stairs that hadn't been maintained since the 90s. From 4 stories up, they had clear sight lines to the warehouse, the Impala, all the exits. Nathan's phone buzzes. Text from Ironside, Sacramento rolling. ETA 60 minutes. Another buzz. San Jose en route, 90 minutes out. The text kept coming. Stockton, Vallejo, Richmond. Brothers leaving work telling bosses they had emergencies, climbing on bikes and pointing them toward Oakland. The largest mobilization of Hell's Angels in Northern California history, all for a 6-year-old girl none of them had ever met. Nathan's phone rang. Carlos, we're with Maria Chen. His voice cracked. She's been awake for 72 hours, hasn't eaten, just sitting by the phone waiting for news. Put me on speaker. Nathan heard the click, then a woman's voice. Hello, Mrs. Chen. My name is Nathan Walker. I saw your daughter this morning at a red light. She had a note pressed against the car window. Maria Chen made a sound that wasn't quite human. You saw Lily. You saw my baby. Yes, ma'am, and I'm going to bring her home. That's a promise, Maria was crying now. Deep sobs. Where is she? Is she hurt? Did he? We believe she's at an abandoned warehouse on 73rd Avenue. We have the location under surveillance. Police are being notified. But Mrs. Chen, I need you to pack a bag for Lily. Favorite blanket, comfort items, whatever she needs. When she comes out, she's going to need her mother. A shaky breath. Okay, I can do that. Mr. Walker, thank you. Thank you for seeing her. Nathan's throat was tight, just doing what anyone should do, ma'am. He hung up, stared at the warehouse. The sun was behind the clouds now, shadows lengthening. How long had it been since he'd felt this sense of purpose, not the aimless routine of clubhouse meetings and weekend rides, but something that mattered beyond the borders of brotherhood? Bones was watching him. You're thinking about Sarah. Nathan didn't answer immediately. My daughter was 6 years old when I got out of Pelican Bay. I'd missed 5 years of her life. 5 birthdays, first day of school, learning to read. When I finally got supervised visitation, she was afraid of me. This stranger with tattoos and anger in his eyes. He could still see it. Sarah hiding behind her mother, peeking out at him with curiosity and fear mixed together. It had taken a year of showing up every Saturday, of proving he wasn't the man the prison system had tried to make him, before she'd climbed into his lap and said, "You're my daddy." Bones lit a cigarette. But you earned her back. Took time, but you did it. Nathan watched the warehouse. Every kid deserves someone who won't quit on them. Lily wrote that note out because she still believes someone would see her. I can't let that faith be for nothing. The first wave of bikes arrived at 2:30. Sacramento chapter 220, strong, rolling up 73rd Avenue in perfect formation. They parked in grids along the side streets, cutting engines, dismounting in disciplined silence. Hammer Morrison walked over to Nathan and Bones' position, taking the stairs 2 at a time despite being 58. Show me. Nathan handed him the binoculars. Graham Paula North Corner, Derek Kane's inside the warehouse with Lily Chen. Hammer studied the building. Exits, loading bay, front personnel door, on the east side fire escape, on the west that probably doesn't work. We've got all sight lines covered from this position. San Jose arrived at 250, 340 bikes. Then Stockton, Vallejo, Richmond, in succession. By 3:30, the industrial district was filled with chrome and leather, 2,400 bikers, standing in formation around a single warehouse. Not chanting, not revving engines, standing in absolute silence, arms crossed, waiting. News helicopters appeared overhead at 3:45. Channel 2457, all the local stations scrambling to cover what their traffic cameras had picked up. An unprecedented gathering of motorcycle clubs in Oakland, all focused on one abandoned building. Nathan's phone rang. Captain Marcus Rodriguez, Oakland PD, Mr. Walker. This is Captain Rodriguez. We're receiving reports of a large gathering of Hell's Angels in the industrial district. What's your intention here? Nathan kept his voice level. Our intention is to assist Oakland PD in rescuing a kidnapped child. We've located the suspect vehicle and have the building under surveillance. We're maintaining a perimeter to prevent the suspect from fleeing. You've created a hostage situation. No, Captain. Derek Kane created a hostage situation 72 hours ago. We're just making sure you can't ignore it anymore. Rodriguez's voice hardened. You can't threaten law enforcement, Mr. Walker. I'm not threatening. I'm giving you a deadline. You have 30 minutes to bring Lily Chen out of that warehouse safe and unharmed. After that, the cameras. Nathan gestured to the news helicopters, are going to start asking why a motorcycle club found a kidnapped child while Oakland PD filed paperwork. There was a long silence. Then Detective Brennan is en route. SWAT is assembling. Do not approach that building. Any violation and I'm arresting everyone. Understood, Captain. But your clock's ticking. Nathan hung up. Around him, the brothers waited. Old men and young men, veterans and convicts, mechanics and truck drivers. United by a patch on their backs and a code that said, when someone needs help, you show up. Inside the warehouse, Derek Kane stared out through a gap in the boarded windows and felt his sanity cracking like ice under pressure. The street outside was filled with motorcycles. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all pointing toward this building, all waiting. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone, dialed his brother Dennis in Hayward. They found me. There's fucking hundreds of bikers outside. Dennis's voice was harsh. What did you do, Derek? I took Lily. I just wanted Maria back. You kidnapped a kid, you idiot. Turn yourself in. They'll kill me in prison. Child abductors don't last. Then you should have thought of that before you grabbed her. Derek, this is on you. Deal with it. Dennis hung up. Derek looked at Lily sitting in the corner where he'd left her. Small, silent, clutching that stupid unicorn backpack. He'd searched her at the motel, found the note. Knew she'd shown it to someone. Knew this was the result. His father's voice echoed in his head. You're weak, just like your mother. Can't even do crime right. Jackson Kane had been Oakland PD for 20 years before alcohol and rage got him fired. Had spent Derek's childhood teaching him that weakness was sin, that pain built character, that love was a lie women told to trap you. Derek had spent 34 years trying to prove him wrong, trying to be different, better. And now he was standing in an abandoned warehouse with a kidnapped child surrounded by an army of bikers, knowing there was no way out except handcuffs or a body bag. Lily spoke for the first time in 3 days. Her voice was small but clear. The man with blue eyes. He's coming, isn't he? Derek didn't answer, just stared at the sea of leather and chrome outside, wondering how it had come to this. Nathan's phone rang at 4:15. Unknown number, he answered. This is Nathan, a man's voice shaking. This is Derek Kane. I need to talk about surrendering. Nathan's pulse didn't change. He'd been expecting this call since the first bike rolled up. Men like Derek Kane operated on fear and self-preservation. Surround them with enough pressure, and they cracked. Derek, my name is Nathan Walker. I saw Lily this morning at a red light. You brought them here. Derek's voice was accusatory, desperate. All these people, the cameras, you did this? No. You did this when you took a 6-year-old from her mother. I'm just the one who decided to stop you. I want immunity. In writing, I want Nathan cut him off with a voice like granite. You're going to prison, Derek. That's not negotiable. What you get to choose is how you leave that building, in handcuffs or on a stretcher. The line went silent, except for Derek's ragged breathing. You know what Pelican Bay is, Nathan continued. I spent 8 years there, watched men get killed for owing $20. Child abductors. They last maybe 6 months before someone makes an example. You'll spend every minute in protective custody, 23 hours in a cell the size of a bathroom. That's not living, that's dying slow. Derek made a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob. So what's my choice, die fast or die slow? Your choice is whether Lily remembers you as the monster who terrified her or the man who let her go home. You can't undo what you've done, but you can stop making it worse. Nathan could hear movement on the other end, pacing maybe, the sound of someone falling apart. My father beat me every day, Derek said. Told me I was worthless. Told me I'd never be anything. I swore I'd be different. And then I look at Lily and I see the fear in her eyes, and I realize I'm exactly like him. Then don't die like him. Be better, let her go. They'll kill me in there. The inmates, they'll, maybe, probably, but at least you'll die knowing you did one decent thing. You gave a little girl her life back. Silence stretched for 30 seconds. Nathan waited. This was the moment. Push too hard and Derek might panic, hurt Lily, hurt himself. Not push enough and he'd keep stalling, keep looking for an exit that didn't exist. Bones was watching him, hand on his radio, ready to call in SWAT if needed. I need guarantees, Derek finally said. I need to know. You need to send Lily out that door in the next 5 minutes. Then you walk out with your hands up. Oakland PD takes you into custody. That's the deal. Only deal. Nathan could hear sirens in the distance. SWAT arriving, setting up perimeter. The window for a peaceful resolution was closing. Derek, listen to me. I've done terrible things. I've hurt people. I've made choices I can't take back. But I chose to see your daughter this morning. Chose to care when it would have been easier to look away. You can make that same choice right now. She's not my daughter. Derek's voice broke. She's Maria's. I was just trying to keep what I had, just trying not to be alone. Nathan thought about Tommy Collins bleeding out on concrete, about Sarah at 6 years old afraid of her own father, about all the ways men broke and all the ways they tried to put themselves back together with the wrong pieces. You are alone, Derek. That's the cost of what you did. But Lily doesn't have to pay for it. The line went dead. Nathan lowered the phone, looked at Bones. He's thinking about it. Or he's panicking. Bones raised the radio. All units stand by. Possible movement in 60 seconds. The brothers below shifted a wave of readiness rippling through 2,400 men. Not aggressive, prepared. There was a difference. At 4:23, the loading bay door of Morrison Auto Parts screeched open. Every pair of eyes locked on that dark rectangle, every hand tensed. Nathan raised his binoculars. A small figure appeared in the doorway. Pink shoes first, then a purple dress dirty from 3 days of captivity, then brown eyes blinking against afternoon light. Lily Chen stood there clutching her unicorn backpack, looking at an ocean of motorcycles and men in leather. She was 6 years old and weighed maybe 50 pounds, and she'd survived hell by writing a note in crayon. Nathan's radio crackled. "That's her!" Prophet Carlos's voice was thick. "That's the girl." Below, Maria Chen broke through the police line. She'd arrived 20 minutes ago with Carlos, and Wrench had been held back by uniformed officers following protocol. But there was no protocol for this moment. No procedure that could stop a mother from reaching her daughter. Maria ran across broken asphalt, stumbling, catching herself running harder. Her voice carried across the industrial park. "Lily mi estrelita." Lily's head snapped toward the sound. She dropped the backpack and ran, small legs pumping, pink shoes flashing. They collided in the middle of the loading bay lot, Maria falling to her knees, Lily crashing into her arms. The sound Maria made wasn't quite human. Relief and anguish, and 3 days of terror, releasing all at once. She wrapped her daughter in her arms and rocked her and sobbed words in Spanish that Nathan couldn't hear but understood completely. Around him, 2,400 bikers turned away, not ashamed, giving privacy to something sacred. Nathan lowered his binoculars, felt something break loose in his chest. Bones was looking at the ground. Hammer had removed his sunglasses, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. Prophet Carlos crossed himself, lips moving in silent prayer. This was why they'd come. Not for glory or recognition. For this moment. When a mother held her daughter and the world made sense again. Derek Kane emerged 30 seconds later, hands raised, walking slowly. He made it 5 steps before SWAT officers swarmed him, taking him down, hard handcuffs clicking into place. Miranda rights read in a voice devoid of sympathy. "Derek Kane, you're under arrest for kidnapping, child endangerment, violation of a restraining order." Derek didn't resist, didn't speak, just lay there on the asphalt while officers secured him, his eyes on Lily and Maria still holding each other 50 feet away. Nathan watched him through the binoculars, saw Derek's lips move. "I'm sorry." But Lily didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge his existence. She was buried in her mother's embrace, safe again, the nightmare ending. Detective Sarah Brennan appeared at the base of Nathan's building, looking up. "Walker, get down here. Now." Nathan descended with Bones' boots echoing in the stairwell. The adrenaline was fading, leaving exhaustion in its wake. He'd been awake since 3 a.m., running on coffee and purpose. Now that Lily was safe, his body was remembering it was 56 years old with a heart condition. Brennan met them outside. She was 40, auburn hair pulled back 15 years on the force showing in the lines around her eyes. Her father had been LAPD killed in the line of duty in '98. She'd become a cop to honor his memory stayed, despite watching the system fail people like Maria Chen every day. "That was one hell of a stunt," she said. Her voice was neutral, cop face locked in place. "That was a successful rescue." "You're welcome. You mobilized 2,400 bikers. You created a media circus. Captain Rodriguez is talking about obstruction charges." Nathan met her eyes. "You had 72 hours and 2 detectives. We had 3 hours and 2,400 volunteers. Math works out pretty clear from where I'm standing." Brennan's jaw tightened. "Off the record, thank you. You did what I couldn't. But on the record, you interfered with an active investigation. I have to take you downtown for questioning." "Am I under arrest?" "Not yet. But Captain Rodriguez wants answers." Bones stepped forward. "Detective, with respect, if you arrest Ghost in front of these cameras, the story becomes Oakland PD arrests hero who saved kidnapped girl. That's not a headline your department needs." Brennan looked at the news helicopters circling overhead, at the reporters setting up for live shots, and at 2,400 bikers watching this conversation. She exhaled slowly. "Fine, but Walker, you're coming downtown voluntarily. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Don't make me come find you." "I'll be there." Brennan walked away, shoulders tight with frustration. She knew Nathan was right, knew the optics were terrible, knew her department had failed and civilians had succeeded. Ironside approached with Hammer and Diablo. the presidents of 3 chapters representing the decision-makers who'd committed resources to this operation. Ghost, we need to talk about dispersal. Ironside's voice was low. FBI just showed up. They're filming license plates, taking photos. We stay here much longer. We're handling them a RICO case on a silver platter. Nathan nodded. Give the order. Everyone rides out in waves. No formations, no group departures. Scatter and disappear. Hammer clapped him on the shoulder. You did good, brother. Calls in a marker for a kid takes stones. Respect. Diablo embraced him. My granddaughters are safe because men like you still exist. Remember that when the cops come asking questions? They dispersed, moving through the crowd, passing the word. Within 20 minutes, bikes were firing up in small groups, rolling out onto 73rd Avenue, heading back to Sacramento, San Jose, Stockton, Vallejo. The army dissolved like it had never existed, leaving only tire tracks in the memory of what 2,400 men could accomplish when they decided something mattered. Nathan found Prophet Carlos and wrenched by Carlos's pickup truck. Maria and Lily were in the back seat, Maria still holding her daughter, whispering to her in Spanish. Lily's eyes were closed, face pressed against her mother's shoulder. How is she? Nathan asked quietly. Carlos's voice was rough. Dehydrated, malnourished. Paramedics checked her. No signs of sexual assault, thank Christ. Bruises on her arms where he grabbed her. Mostly she's terrified and exhausted. Maria looked up, saw Nathan through the window. She gently moved Lily aside and got out of the truck. Mr. Walker. Nathan felt awkward suddenly. This woman had been living in hell for 3 days. He was just a biker who happened to be at the right red light. How are you holding up, ma'am? Maria's eyes filled with tears. You saved my daughter. You saw her when everyone else looked away. How do I thank you for that? You don't. You just take care of her. Get her home, get her safe. That's all the thanks I need. Maria reached into her purse, pulled out an envelope. I don't have much, but... No, Nathan held up his hand. This isn't business. This is what anyone should do. But you're not anyone. Maria's voice strengthened. You're someone who kept his promise. You told me you'd bring her home. You did. She pressed the envelope into his hand. Nathan didn't open it, just held it, feeling the weight of gratitude and obligation mixing together. Mrs. Chen, your daughter, wrote a note asking for help. She saved herself. I just answered the call. Lily stirred in the truck, opened her eyes. She saw Nathan through the window and something changed in her face. The fear faded. She climbed out of the truck, walking over on unsteady legs. You're the man with blue eyes. Nathan knelt so they were eye level. That's right, I'm Nathan. You saw my note. I did. You were very brave to write it. Lily looked at her feet. The pink shoes were scuffed dirty, the Velcro straps worn. I thought no one would see me. Everyone always looks away. Nathan's throat tightened. I saw you, and I believed you. Never forget that your voice matters. Lily's arms went around his neck without warning. She held on this small human who'd survived something no child should experience, still capable of trust. Nathan froze for a heartbeat, then gently returned the embrace. His hands could break bones, had broken bones, but right now they cradled a 6-year-old girl with infinite care. Thank you for saving me, Lily whispered. Nathan's eyes burned. You're welcome, sweetheart. Maria gently pulled Lily back. We need to get you home, mi estrellita. Get you a bath, clean clothes, your own bed. Lily nodded but kept looking at Nathan. Can I visit you? Nathan glanced at Maria. If your mom says it's okay. Maria smiled through tears. We'll see. They got back in the truck. Carlos started the engine, ready to drive them home. Nathan stepped back, watched them pull away. Lily's face appeared in the rear window, small hand pressed against the glass. Not in desperation this time. In farewell. Nathan raised his hand in response. The truck turned the corner and disappeared. Bones lit a cigarette beside him. You know, the FBI just photographed that entire exchange. They're going to use it as evidence of club activity involving a minor. Let them try. Nathan's voice was flat. Every camera out here caught us saving a kid while OPD filed paperwork. Good luck spinning that into criminal enterprise. Wrench walked over, phone in hand. Just got a call from my IT guy. He's been monitoring police frequencies. OPD's launching an internal investigation into why it took 72 hours to respond to a missing child report. Good. Maybe they'll fix their shit before the next kid disappears. The industrial park was almost empty now. Just a few Oakland chapter members left cleaning up. making sure no trash was left behind, no property damaged. Ironside had been clear. We leave this place cleaner than we found it. No excuses for them to come after us. Nathan's phone buzzes. Text from Sarah, his daughter. Dad, you're on the news. They're calling you a hero. He typed back, not a hero, just did what needed doing. Sarah, that's what heroes say. Love you. Nathan pocketed the phone. The sun was setting behind the Oakland hills, painting the sky in shades of amber and red. His Harley sat where he'd left it patient, waiting. Ironside approached the last president, still on site. Ghost, we need to talk about tomorrow. The police interview. That and the fallback. FBI's gonna come hard. RICO investigation, organized crime statutes, everything they've got. We mobilized 2,400 bodies for a single operation. That's conspiracy in their eyes. Nathan had expected this. You gambled the club on saving Lily. I gambled that public opinion would protect us. Ironside lit a cigarette. Turns out I was right. Mayor's office already called Rodriguez. Told him to bury any investigation into today's events. Too politically toxic. We're heroes now instead of criminals. Nathan felt the weight of that word again. Hero. It sat wrong like a shirt that didn't fit. We're not heroes, Tom. We're just men who saw a kid in trouble. Ironside smiled grimly. Welcome to public relations. Sometimes the story matters more than the truth. What about Derek Kane held at Santa Rita Jail? No bail. Protective custody because word's already spread about what he did. He'll be dead within 6 months if they put him in general population. Nathan thought about Derek's voice on the phone. Broken, desperate, destroyed by his own choices. I almost feel sorry for him. Don't. Ironside's voice went cold. He terrorized a 6-year-old for 3 days. He made his choices. Now he lives with the consequences. Or dies with them. Either way, Ironside dropped his cigarette, crushed it under his boot. You did good today, Ghost. Tommy would be proud. Nathan looked at the warehouse where it had happened. The loading bay door still open. The police tape being strung up. The evidence markers where Derek had been arrested. Tommy died believing people could change. That one choice could matter. He was right. Ironside's hand gripped Nathan's shoulder. You proved it today. They rode back to the clubhouse as twilight deepened. The streets of Oakland were alive with evening traffic, people heading home from work, families going to dinner, the normal rhythm of city life. None of them knew what had happened here. None of them would remember tomorrow. But Lily Chen would remember, Maria would remember, and 2,400 brothers would carry this day forward, proof that the patch they wore meant something beyond rebellion and outlaws. The clubhouse was full when they arrived. Brothers who'd ridden from Sacramento, San Jose, Stockton. They'd regrouped here instead of going straight home, needing to decompress to process what they'd been part of. Nathan walked in and the room went quiet. Then Hammer started clapping. Slow at first, then others joined. Within seconds, the entire clubhouse was applauding. Not cheering, not celebrating, acknowledging what had been done. Nathan held up his hand for silence. Today wasn't about me. It was about 2,400 brothers answering a call. It was about showing up when someone needed help. That's what the patch means. That's what we stand for. Hammer raised a beer. To Lily Chen, may she never remember the fear, only the rescue. To Lily, the room echoed. They drank. Nathan didn't. 15 years sober and not about to break it now. He grabbed a Coke from the fridge, found a quiet corner, let the exhaustion finally catch up. Prophet Carlos sat down beside him. You okay? Nathan considered the question. Physically, no. His back hurt, his knees ached, and his heart medication was overdue. Emotionally, he was somewhere between numb and overwhelmed. I keep seeing her face at the red light, the way she looked at me. Carlos nodded. Elena looked at me like that. The day before the accident, she wanted me to come to her school play. I said I had to work. She said, please, Daddy, you never come. And I still said no. His voice broke. The next day she was gone, and I never got to tell her I was sorry. Nathan didn't have words for that kind of pain, just sat with Carlos in silence, two men carrying grief that didn't fade with time. Wrench approached with a laptop. Got something you need to see. Channel 7 just posted their coverage. He turned the screen toward them. A news anchor, professional makeup, serious expression. In an unprecedented display of community solidarity, over 2,000 members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club converged on Oakland today to assist in the rescue of 6-year-old Lily Chen, who had been missing for 72 hours. The bikers, led by Oakland chapter member Nathan Walker, located the suspect vehicle and maintained a perimeter until police could make an arrest. Derek Kane, 34, is now in custody facing kidnapping and child endangerment charges. The footage cut to Maria and Lily's reunion. Maria falling to her knees, Lily running into her arms. The sound Maria made. The way Lily held on. Nathan looked away. That moment wasn't for public consumption. That was sacred. The anchor continued. Critics are asking why a motorcycle club succeeded where Oakland Police Department failed. Captain Marcus Rodriguez declined to comment, but sources within OPD confirm an internal review is underway. Meanwhile, community leaders are praising the Hells Angels for their swift action. The footage switched to Reverend James Thompson, an older black man in pastor's robes, speaking outside his church. I witnessed something today I never expected to see. Men that society has written off, men with criminal records and violent pasts, doing what our institutions failed to do. They saved a child. The Hells Angels aren't saints, but they have something we've lost in our comfortable distance from suffering. They have the capacity to care, to act, to stand up when it would be easier to sit down. The Reverend's eyes were intense. Lily Chen is home tonight because 2,400 men decided her life mattered more than their own safety. That's not criminal behavior. That's Christ-like behavior. And it should shame every one of us who saw that Amber Alert and did nothing but shake our heads. Wrench closed the laptop. You're famous now, ghost. Nathan stood abruptly. I need air. He walked outside into the parking lot. The night was cool, typical Oakland autumn. Stars were visible through gaps in the light pollution. He could hear traffic on Foothill Boulevard, the distant sound of sirens, the city alive and indifferent. His phone rang, blocked number. This is Nathan, a woman's voice professional. Mr. Walker, this is Agent Victoria Ross, FBI. I'd like to schedule a conversation with you regarding today's events. Nathan's jaw tightened. Get a warrant. We're investigating possible RICO violations, organized criminal enterprise conspiracy. 2,400 men showed up to save a kid. If that's a crime, Agent Ross, then charge me. But you and I both know the optics on that are terrible. Silence. Then, Mr. Walker, the Bureau doesn't forget. We'll be watching. You do that. Nathan hung up. Bones emerged from the clubhouse. FBI. Yeah, threatening RICO charges. Won't stick. Bones lit a cigarette. But they'll make your life hell trying. Welcome to the cost of being a hero. Nathan looked at the clubhouse, at the brothers inside celebrating a victory that had been 23 years in the making. Since Tommy died, he'd been searching for meaning, for a way to make that sacrifice count. Today he'd found it in brown eyes, pressing a note against glass. I'd do it again, he said quietly. Every single part of it. I know. Bones exhaled smoke. That's what worries me. They stood there in the parking lot, two men who'd seen too much and done worse, watching the city continue its endless cycle. Somewhere out there, Lily Chen was taking her first bath in 3 days. Maria was holding her daughter and crying grateful tears. Derek Kane was sitting in a cell contemplating the ruins of his life. And Nathan Walker was standing under Oakland stars, feeling the weight of Tommy's death finally begin to lift. Not redemption, not yet, but the first payment on a debt 27 years overdue. Wednesday morning arrived with fog thick enough to drown in. Nathan woke at 6 without an alarm, the habit of prison years never quite leaving. His back protested when he sat up, vertebrae grinding like old machinery. The heart medication sat on the nightstand next to a glass of water. He swallowed the pill, chased it with water that tasted like Oakland pipes, and stared at the wall. Tommy's photo hung there. Not the memorial one from the clubhouse, but a candid shot from '96. Tommy and Nathan leaning against their bikes outside some desert bar in Nevada, both grinning like idiots, both too young to know what was coming. Nathan had kept it private, something that belonged to him alone. Today he had to face Captain Rodriguez. Tomorrow, probably the FBI. Next week, maybe federal indictments. The machinery of justice grinding toward him with the inevitability of tide. His phone showed 17 missed calls, 32 texts, news outlets requesting interviews, a literary agent asking about book rights, someone from Hollywood wanting to option his story. Nathan deleted them all without reading past the first line. One text mattered. Sarah, his daughter, Dad, I'm proud of you. The kids keep asking when they can meet the girl you saved. He typed back, maybe never. She's been through enough without being a show pony for your family. Sarah, fair point. Still proud. Love you. Nathan showered dressed in his cleanest jeans and a button-down shirt that he kept for court appearances and funerals. No leather vest today, no colors, just Nathan Walker, ex-con approaching 60, trying to explain why he'd mobilize an army. The Oakland Police Department's downtown headquarters was a concrete fortress built in the 70s when brutalist architecture seemed like a good idea. Nathan parked his truck 3 blocks away, walked through morning commuters rushing to BART stations and coffee shops. Nobody recognized him. Yesterday's hero was today's anonymous pedestrian. Detective Brennan met him in the lobby. She looked like she'd slept less than he had. Walker. Captain Rodriguez is waiting. Conference room C. Any advice? Tell the truth. Don't volunteer information. Remember, you are not under arrest. Yet. Brennan almost smiled. Yet. Conference room C was windowless, fluorescent lit, smelling of old coffee and bureaucratic frustration. Captain Marcus Rodriguez sat at the head of a fake wood table. 55 years old, Latino, 26 years on the force. Next to him, a woman Nathan didn't recognize. 30s, sharp suit, the look of someone who spent more time with lawyers than cops. Mr. Walker, thank you for coming voluntarily. Rodriguez's voice was neutral, cop flat. This is Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Park. She'll be observing. Nathan sat without being invited. Am I being charged with something that depends on your answers? Rodriguez opened a folder. Yesterday, you mobilized approximately 2,400 members of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, an organization currently under federal investigation for racketeering, drug trafficking, and organized violence. Want to explain that a 6-year-old girl was kidnapped? Your department took 72 hours to locate her. I made some phone calls. Some phone calls. Rodriguez's eyes hardened. You orchestrated the largest gathering of outlaw bikers in Northern California history. You surrounded a building where a hostage situation was in progress. You interfered with an active investigation. I assisted in an investigation that was going nowhere. ADA Park spoke for the first time. Her voice was precise, Harvard-educated. Mr. Walker, conspiracy to commit organized criminal activity carries a federal sentence of 15 to 20 years. The FBI has footage of you coordinating with multiple chapter presidents. That's RICO predicate behavior. Nathan met her eyes. I coordinated a search and rescue operation. Last time I checked, that's not illegal when it involves a criminal organization. The Hells Angels aren't classified as a criminal organization. We're a motorcycle club. Some members have criminal records. So do half the cops in this building. Rodriguez slammed his hand on the table. Don't play semantic games with me, Walker. You created a powder keg. What if Kane had started shooting? What if one of your bikers had decided to play hero? We'd have had bodies scattered across that warehouse district. But we didn't. Nathan kept his voice level. Because we did it smart. Maintained perimeter, didn't approach, called you the moment we had confirmation. Lily Chen went home alive because 2,400 men cared more than your 2 overworked detectives could manage. The room went silent. Brennan shifted in her chair by the door, not quite agreeing, but not disagreeing either. Park pulled out a tablet, swiped through images. We have surveillance photos of you meeting with known felons. Vincent Russo, 40 years in the club, served time for assault. Carlos Delgado, convicted of attempted murder after that courthouse incident. Thomas Murphy, 12 years in Folsom for manslaughter. These are your associates. These are my brothers. Nathan's jaw tightened. And yeah, we've all done time. Paid our debts to society. But yesterday we saved a kid while you were figuring out jurisdictional procedure. Rodriguez leaned back. Here's the problem, Walker. You made us look incompetent. The mayor's office is demanding answers. The media is asking why civilians accomplished what trained law enforcement couldn't. My department's reputation is in the toilet. So this is about ego. This is about the rule of law. Rodriguez's voice rose. You don't get to decide when to bypass the system because you think you know better. I get to decide when a child's life is worth more than your procedures. The door opened. A man in his 60s, expensive suit briefcase. He looked at Rodriguez with the confidence of someone who owned courtrooms. Captain Rodriguez, I'm Samuel Chen, Mr. Walker's attorney. This interview is over. Nathan blinked. I don't have an attorney. Chen smiled. You do now. Pro bono, courtesy of the San Francisco legal community who are very interested in your case. He placed a business card on the table. Partner at Chen and Associates. Civil rights litigation, wrongful prosecution, defense. Mr. Walker won't be answering any further questions without proper legal counsel present. If you intend to charge him, do so now. Otherwise, we're leaving. Rodriguez looked at Park. She shook her head slightly. You're free to go, Rodriguez said. But Walker, this isn't over. The FBI's got a file on you 3 inches thick. They're building a case. Let them build. Chen gathered his briefcase. They'll find a man who saved a child. Good luck prosecuting that. Nathan stood, followed Chen out. In the hallway, he stopped. Who hired you? Chen's eyes were kind. Maria Chen is my cousin. When she told me what you did, I made some calls. The legal community in San Francisco has been looking for a test case on civil liberties in organized motorcycle clubs. You're it. I didn't ask to be a test case. No one does, but here we are. Chen handed him another card. Call me if the FBI contacts you. Don't talk to them without me present. And Mr. Walker, thank you for saving Maria's daughter. He walked away, leaving Nathan standing in the fluorescent-lit hallway of Oakland PD headquarters, holding a business card and wondering how his life had become a legal battlefield. Brennan appeared from a side door. That went better than expected. They didn't charge me, not yet. But Rodriguez is under pressure. He needs a win. Be careful. Why are you telling me this? Because 15 years ago, my father was killed in the line of duty, shot by a gang member during a traffic stop. His backup was 3 minutes away. 3 minutes too late. She met Nathan's eyes. I understand what it means when the system fails, when the people who are supposed to protect you can't get there in time. Her voice dropped. Off the record, you did the right thing. But Rodriguez doesn't care about right. He cares about control. And you just showed him he doesn't have any. Nathan walked out into morning sunlight. The fog had burned off, revealing Oakland in harsh clarity. He called Ironside from the truck. How'd it go? No charges. Yet. FBI's building a case. Of course they are. Ironside's voice was resigned. Ghost, we need to talk about your role going forward. You're radioactive now. Every move you make, they're watching. So what are you saying? I'm saying you might need to step back. For the club's protection. Nathan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. You want me out, I want you safe. There's a difference, Tom. I've given 23 years to this club. I'm not walking away because the FBI's got a hard-on for RICO charges. Then you need to be smarter than you've ever been. No mistakes, no gray areas, everything by the book. Nathan hung up, drove toward the clubhouse, but halfway there he detoured, took 73rd Avenue toward Morrison Auto Parts. The warehouse was cordoned off with police-tape crime scene markers still visible. The gray Impala had been impounded evidence in Derek Kane's prosecution. Nathan parked across the street, stared at the loading bay where it had happened, where Lily had walked out into sunlight, where Maria had held her daughter, where 2,400 men had stood witness to something that mattered. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered anyway. Nathan Walker, Bit. This is Dr. Patricia Wong. I'm a child psychologist working with Lily Chen. Maria gave me your number. I wanted to talk about Lily's recovery. Nathan's chest tightened. Is she okay? Physically, yes. Emotionally, she's processing trauma. Nightmares, anxiety, hypervigilance. Normal responses to what she experienced. Dr. Wong paused. But there's something you should know. When Lily talks about the kidnapping, she focuses on 2 moments. Writing the note and you seeing it. In her mind, she saved herself by asking for help, and you saved her by answering. That's healthy. It gives her agency. So why are you calling? Because she's asking to see you. She calls you the man with blue eyes who saw me. In child psychology, having a concrete connection to her rescue helps process the trauma. Would you be willing to visit Nathan? Thought about Lily's arms around his neck. The weight of trust from someone so small. When this Saturday, Maria's apartment, 2 o'clock. Just a short visit. Let Lily see you're real, not just a memory. I'll be there. Thank you, Mr. Walker. You have no idea how much this means to her recovery. The call ended. Nathan sat in his truck watching crime scene tape flutter in the breeze and felt the weight of responsibility settle deeper. Thursday brought the media storm. The San Francisco Chronicle ran a front-page feature, The Angels Who Saved Lily Inside the Brotherhood, written by Melissa Chen, a 35-year-old investigative journalist who'd spent 3 days interviewing club members Maria, even Dr. Wong. Nathan read it at the clubhouse, surrounded by brothers passing around copies. The article was fair, detailed his criminal record, Tommy's death, the 8 years in Pelican Bay. But it also explored why men like him chose to act when institutions failed. Quoted Reverend Thompson's sermon about Christ-like behavior. Included Maria's testimony about watching her daughter disappear into terror and return because strangers cared. One quote stood out attributed to Nathan during the interview he didn't remember giving: "Redemption isn't erasing your past, it's choosing your future. I made terrible choices, but that morning I chose to see a child who needed help. That's the only choice that matters now." Wrench looked up from his copy. "Did you actually say that, must have? It's in print." Prophet Carlos grinned. "Ghost the philosopher. Never thought I'd see the day." The article's impact was immediate. By noon, the clubhouse phone was ringing constantly. News shows requesting interviews. Speaking invitations from community organizations. A publisher offering 6 figures for a book deal. Ironside fielded the calls declining everything. We're not becoming a media circus. This was about Lily, not publicity, but the publicity found them anyway. Friday morning, Oakland City Council announced a commendation ceremony. Saturday evening, the mayor would present the Hells Angels Oakland chapter with a community service award. Ironside threw the invitation on the table. "They want us to mathali their trained SEALs. Show up, smile for cameras, prove Oakland values community cooperation." Bones crushed his cigarette. "It's a trap. We show up, we legitimize their failures. We don't show up, we're ungrateful outlaws who won't play nice." Nathan picked up the invitation. "Or we show up and tell the truth, that we shouldn't have been necessary, that their system failed and needs fixing." Ironside considered this. "You want to give a speech, I want to make sure Lily's story matters beyond one rescue, that the next kid doesn't have to wait 72 hours for someone to care." "Do it. But Ghost, you're speaking for the club. Choose your words carefully." Saturday arrived faster than Nathan wanted. He spent the morning at his apartment writing and rewriting words on a legal pad. Public speaking wasn't his strength. Prison yard negotiations, yes. Facing down hostile cops, sure. But standing at a podium in front of cameras and politicians made his hands sweat. At 1:30, he drove to Maria's apartment on 96th Avenue. The building was better than some, worse than others. 3 stories of stucco and security bars, kids playing in the courtyard, grandmothers watching from balconies. Maria answered on the first knock. She looked better than Wednesday. Sleep had softened the lines around her eyes, though the trauma lingered underneath. "Mr. Walker, thank you for coming." Nathan followed her inside. The apartment was small but clean. Photos of Lily everywhere, school pictures, Halloween costumes, a professional portrait from last Christmas. Dr. Wong was there, a Chinese-American woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a notebook. And sitting on the couch clutching a stuffed teddy bear was Lily. She wore a butterfly shirt and jeans. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. The pink shoes were gone, replaced by sneakers. But her eyes were the same, brown and huge and carrying weight no 6-year-old should bear. "Hi, Lily." She looked up, recognition dawning. "You came. I promised I would." Lily stood, walked over slowly. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why did you see me at the red light?" Everyone else looked away. Nathan knelt so they were eye level. "Because you were brave enough to ask for help. And I was lucky enough to be there to answer." "Were you scared?" The question caught him off guard. He thought about answering with comfortable lies. But Lily deserved truth. "Yes, I was scared I wouldn't find you in time. Scared that something bad would happen. But being scared doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act anyway." Lily processed this. "Derek said I was bad, that it was my fault." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Derek was wrong. Nothing that happened was your fault. You were a kid who needed help. That's never bad." Dr. Wong spoke up. "Lily, do you remember what we talked about? About how sometimes adults make terrible choices and children pay the price?" Lily nodded. "Mr. Walker made a good choice. He chose to help you. That's the opposite of what Derek did." Lily looked at Nathan. "Can I show you something?" She ran to her room, came back with a piece of construction paper, a crayon drawing, a little girl in pink shoes standing next to a tall man on a motorcycle, both smiling. Above them, written in careful first-grade letters, "Thank you for saving me." Nathan's vision blurred. "This is beautiful. You can keep it. If you want, I'd be honored." Lily hesitated, then stepped forward and hugged him. Quick, tentative, but real. When she pulled back, some of the weight had lifted from her eyes. They talked for 30 minutes. Lily showed him her room, her toys, her collection of butterfly drawings. Maria served coffee and cookies. Dr. Wong observed, taking notes, monitoring the interaction. When Nathan stood to leave, Lily grabbed his hand. "Will I see you again? If your mom says it's okay, yes," Maria smiled. "You're always welcome here, Mr. Walker." Outside, Dr. Wong walked him to his truck. "That went better than I hoped. You're a natural with her. I just told her the truth." Sometimes that's exactly what trauma survivors need. Dr. Wong paused. "Can I ask you something personal?" Nathan waited. "Do you have children?" "A daughter, Sarah. She's 32 now, has 2 kids of her own." "Were you in her life growing up?" Nathan looked at the apartment building at the window where Lily stood watching him leave. "I missed 5 years. Prison. When I got out, she was 6, same age as Lily. Afraid of me. But you earned her back. It took time, showing up every week, proving I wasn't the monster the system said I was." Dr. Wong nodded. "Then you understand what Lily needs. Someone who shows up. Someone who doesn't disappear." "I'm not disappearing." "Good. Because right now you're part of her healing. Don't underestimate how much that matters." Nathan drove to City Hall for the 7 p.m. ceremony. The building was lit up, cameras everywhere, crowd gathering on the steps. He met Ironside prophet Carlos Wrench Bones in the parking garage, all wearing their colors. The leather vest, the death's head patch, the California rocker. A silent statement: we're not hiding who we are. The ceremony was in the main council chamber, packed with media, community leaders, curious citizens. Mayor Linda Harrison stood at the podium, 58 years old, 3 terms in office, skilled at political theater. "Tonight we honor extraordinary citizens who embodied the best of Oakland. When institutional systems failed, when bureaucracy moved too slowly, these men acted." The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club mobilized 2,400 members to rescue 6-year-old Lily Chen from a kidnapping situation. Their swift action saved a life and reminded us that heroism comes in many forms. Applause, cameras flashing. Nathan felt sick. I'd like to invite Nathan Walker and Thomas Murphy to accept this commendation on behalf of their organization. Nathan and Ironside walked to the podium. The mayor handed them a framed certificate and posed for photos. Then she stepped back, gesturing to the microphone. "Would you like to say a few words?" Nathan looked at the crowd, found Maria and Lily in the 3rd row. Lily was holding her mother's hand, watching him with those eyes that had changed everything. He stepped to the microphone. "Thank you, Mayor Harrison, for this recognition. But I want to be clear about something. We shouldn't have been necessary." The room went quiet. Lily Chen was missing for 72 hours before Oakland PD located her. Not because your officers don't care, but because they're understaffed, underfunded, drowning in cases. 2 detectives for 300 missing persons reports. That's not a system designed to succeed. Mayor Harrison's smile tightened. "We mobilized 2,400 men because we could. Because we had resources, contacts, and nothing to lose. But what about the next Lily? The next kid who disappears while waiting for verification, for proper procedures, for systems to catch up?" Nathan's voice hardened. "Fix your department. Fund missing persons units properly. Prioritize children over bureaucracy. Because if you're relying on outlaw bikers to do your job, something is fundamentally broken." He stepped back. The room was silent for 5 seconds. Then applause started. Scattered at first, then building. Not from the politicians, from the citizens, the parents, the people who understood what he was saying. Mayor Harrison recovered quickly. "Thank you for that passionate reminder of our responsibilities. This administration is committed to reviewing and improving our public safety systems." The ceremony ended. Nathan and Ironside walked out into cool October air. "That was either brilliant or career suicide," Ironside said. "Don't care which," it needed saying. His phone buzzed. Text from Sarah: "Dad, you just told off the mayor on live TV. I'm dying. Also, I love you." Another text. "Detective Brennan, you just made Rodriguez's shit list permanent." Worth it, though. Sunday morning, Nathan woke to his phone ringing. Blocked number. "Walker, Agent Ross, FBI. We need to schedule that conversation. Get a warrant. Mr. Walker, we can do this easy or hard." "Then do it hard. I've got nothing to hide and a lawyer who loves federal overreach cases." He hung up. 20 seconds later, Ironside called. "FBI just served me with a subpoena. Grand jury investigation into organized criminal enterprise. They're going after the club. Nathan's stomach dropped. Because of Lily. Because we gave them ammunition. 2,400 bikers coordinated Operation Chain of Command. Everything they need for Rico. When's the grand jury? 3 weeks. Ironside's voice was grim. Ghost, you might want to think about stepping back, taking a break from the club, for your own protection. Running makes me look guilty. Staying makes you a target. Nathan stared at Tommy's photo on his wall. What would you do? Brother Tommy's ghost didn't answer. But Nathan knew anyway. Tommy had died keeping his mouth shut about brothers the FBI wanted. Had taken 3 shanks protecting the club. I'm not running, then lawyer up, because they're coming for all of us. The call ended. Nathan dressed, rode to the clubhouse. Sunday morning, only a few brothers there. The atmosphere had changed from Wednesday's celebration. Now it was tense, waiting for the hammer to fall. Wrench looked up from his coffee. You see the news? Nathan shook his head. Channel 7's running a series. The real Hells Angels heroes or criminals. They're interviewing former prosecutors, victims of biker violence, building a case that we're a gang hiding behind charity work. So it begins. Bones walked in with a newspaper. Gets better. Derek Kane's attorney is claiming that we intimidated his client into surrendering. Says the 2,400 bikers constituted a lynch mob. That's bullshit. Of course it is. But it muddies the water. Makes us look like vigilantes instead of rescuers. Prophet Carlos slammed his fist on the table. We saved a kid. How is that being twisted into a crime because we're convenient targets? Nathan sat down heavily. The system failed, we succeeded, and now they need to tear us down to protect their reputation. Ironside emerged from his office. Just got off the phone with our attorney. The grand jury's looking at conspiracy charges for every president who sent brothers to Oakland. They're going after the entire network. How many people? 32. Chapter presidents plus leadership here. Ironside looked at Nathan. And you? As the initiating party, you're the key witness. They'll offer you immunity to testify against the club. Nathan's blood went cold. I'd never, I know. But they'll try. Pressure, threats, promises. Classic federal playbook. What do? We fight. Ironside's voice was steel. Every president, every member, we stand together. No one flips. No one testifies. We beat this like we've beaten everything else. The clubhouse door opened. Maria Chen walked in holding Lily's hand. The room froze. Civilians didn't just walk into the clubhouse, especially not women and children. But Maria stood there, chin up, defiant. I need to talk to Nathan Walker. Nathan stood. Mrs. Chen, and what are you doing here? Saving you. Like you saved my daughter. She pulled out a folder, handed it to him. Inside were pages of signatures, hundreds of them. That's a petition. 5,000 Oakland residents demanding the city drop any investigation into the Hells Angels. Demanding proper funding for missing persons units. Demanding accountability for Derek Kane's 72 hours of freedom. Maria's voice strengthened. You told the mayor to fix the system. I'm making sure she listens. This goes to the city council Tuesday, to the FBI Wednesday, to every news outlet in the Bay Area. Why would you do this? Because you kept your promise. You brought my daughter home, and I'm not letting them destroy you for it. Lily stepped forward, held out another piece of paper, another drawing, this one showing Nathan surrounded by motorcycles with words underneath, my hero. Nathan took it, feeling something crack in his chest. You're not alone, Mr. Walker. Maria looked around the clubhouse. None of you are. This city knows what you did. And we're not forgetting. She left with Lily leaving the folder on the table. Ironside picked it up, flipped through the pages. 5,000 signatures. That's political currency. Wrench grinned. FBI might have subpoenas. We've got public opinion. Bones lit a cigarette. Still doesn't change the fact that we're under investigation. No, but it changes the narrative. Nathan felt something like hope stirring. They want to paint us as criminals. Maria's showing we're neighbors. The next 3 weeks blurred. Nathan met with attorneys, prepared testimony, refused FBI immunity offers 3 separate times. The media storm continued, split between those praising the rescue and those questioning motorcycle club involvement in law enforcement. Derek Kane's trial was scheduled for January. Preliminary hearings showed he'd plead guilty to avoid trial and accept 20 years in exchange for protective custody. Nathan testified at the prelim, described the red light, the note Lily's eyes. Derek sat at the defense table broken, not meeting anyone's gaze. Afterwards, in the courthouse hallway, Derek's public defender approached. "My client wants to talk to you." Nathan followed him to a holding cell. Derek sat on a bench, hands cuffed, wearing Orange County jail scrubs. "Why'd you do it?" Derek's voice was hollow. "Why'd you care?" "Because I saw her." "Because she asked for help. You ruined my life." "No." Nathan's voice was flat. "You ruined your life when you grabbed her. I just stopped you from making it worse." Derek looked at the floor. "I loved Maria. I just wanted her back. Love doesn't take hostages." "I know," Derek's voice broke. "I know that now, but it's too late." "Yeah, it is." Nathan walked away, leaving Derek to the consequences of his choices. The grand jury convened the first week of December. Nathan testified for 4 hours, described his actions, the phone calls, the rescue, refused to characterize it as organized criminal activity. The prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, pressed hard. "Mr. Walker, isn't it true that you coordinated a military-style operation involving multiple criminal organizations?" "I coordinated a search and rescue involving motorcycle clubs. Clubs with documented histories of violence, drug trafficking, racketeering. Clubs with members who are also fathers, grandfathers, citizens. We used legal means to assist law enforcement. By surrounding a building with 2,400 armed individuals, we weren't armed, and we called Oakland PD the moment we confirmed the location." The questioning continued. Nathan stuck to facts, refused to be baited. Outside the courthouse, Ironside waited with Prophet Carlos and Wrench. "How'd it go?" "They've got nothing." Nathan's voice was certain. "This is harassment, not prosecution." Christmas came. Nathan spent it with Sarah and his grandkids. They asked about Lily. He showed them the drawings she'd sent. 3 more since that first visit. Each one showing scenes from the rescue processed through a 6-year-old's understanding. Sarah hugged him. "Dad, I'm proud of who you've become. I'm just trying to earn what Tommy paid for. You already have." New Year's arrived. The grand jury issued its decision. No indictments, insufficient evidence of criminal conspiracy. The FBI's investigation concluded without charges. Ironside called with the news. "We won, Ghost. It's over." Nathan sat in his apartment looking at Tommy's photo. Not over, just beginning. Because the real victory wasn't beating the charges. It was the system changes Maria's petition forced. Oakland City Council approved funding for 10 new missing persons detectives, implemented faster Amber Alert protocols, created oversight committees for cases involving children. Lily's Law, they called it. 3 years later, Nathan stood in Maria's backyard, Lily's 9th birthday party. Butterfly decorations everywhere. Kids running around, music playing, normal suburban chaos. Lily approached, taller now, confident, wearing a shirt that said Survivor in glitter letters. "Mr. Nathan, thank you for coming." "Wouldn't miss it." She showed him her birthday cake. 9 candles. "Make a wish." She closed her eyes, blew them out. When she opened them, she smiled. "I wish that everyone could be as safe as I am now." Nathan's throat tightened. "That's a good wish." Maria brought out coffee, sat with him at a picnic table while Lily played. "She still has nightmares sometimes, maybe once every few months now. But she's healing, and I started dating again. Slowly, carefully. But I'm ready to trust. That's good." Maria looked at him. "You saved more than Lily that day. You saved me too. Reminded me that good people still exist." Nathan watched Lily playing with friends, wearing butterfly wings, laughing. This kid who'd survived hell and come out believing in heroes. "I just answered when she called. That's all any of us can do." Maria stood. "Thank you, Nathan, for everything." She went to help with the party games. Nathan sat there holding his coffee, watching life continue. His phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. "The kids want to know when you're bringing them to meet Lily." He typed back, "Ask her mom, not my call." Another text appeared. This one from Lily using Maria's phone. A photo. Lily holding her birthday cake, grinning, surrounded by friends. The caption, "Thank you for teaching me to be brave." Nathan saved the photo, added it to the collection in his phone. Tommy at 25, Sarah at 6, Lily at 9. The people who mattered. Around him, the party continued. Children laughing, parents talking, the ordinary miracle of life proceeding. And Nathan Walker, ex-con biker ghost, who'd survived when he shouldn't have sat in the middle of it all and felt something he hadn't experienced in 27 years. Peace, not redemption. That was too grand a word. But the first full breath after decades of holding it, the weight of Tommy's death still there but balanced now by Lily's life, by the 5,000 signatures, by the laws that changed, by the proof that one choice at a red light could matter beyond measure. He looked at the sky, Oakland clouds drifting past. Somewhere up there, maybe Tommy was watching, maybe not. But either way, Nathan knew what his friend would say. You did good, brother. You made it mean something. And for the first time since 1998, Nathan believed it.